guys, this is Mani Karthik here with SEO tips and tricks. In this episode, we'll talk about mobile SEO and how you can optimize your website for mobile devices and users. So let's take a look. So like I said, mobile is actually a buzzword today, and be it any tech conference, any SEO conference you go to, everybody talks about mobile and how significant the numbers are from the mobile platforms. And you can see that yourself if you take a look at your web stats today. I'm pretty sure that you'll see a 10 to 20% of your actual traffic showing up from mobile users, mobile devices, including tablets, feature phones, and smartphones. So basically the numbers from mobile is actually increasing, and it's predicted that by 2014 and 2015 the numbers probably might even take over your regular web traffic. So it's high time that we start actually thinking about optimizing our websites for mobile users and devices. So let's take a look as to how you can do this, what are the right and wrong ways to go about optimizing your website for mobile users. So essentially there are two ways to go about optimizing your website for mobile devices. The first version is to have a subdomain like m.yourdomain.com and basically having a version B of your website that people will be forwarded to when they access your website from mobile devices. And this is actually done by having a JavaScript in place which basically sniffs out or detects your user agent, basically sniffs out smartphones, feature phones, or tablets, and throws those users to the site, the version B of your website. The good thing here is that it's pretty easy to set up, so that all you need is just a JavaScript and a subdomain and a version B of your website. Sometimes even the same content, but different, formatted in a different way. But the bad thing here is that sometimes when you have this redirects in place and when you have this scripts in place, it doesn't really offer the best of user experience, because sometimes when you have links like that switches between the versions, like many of us have seen that some websites use a link that throws people to the mobile version and back from the mobile version to the desktop version through links. And sometimes it can show up as a problematic behavior for some users at least. And also when the script actually fails to detect the user agents properly, it sometimes shows up differently on different platforms, which is to say that the mobile version shows up on the desktop version and vice versa. So this essentially shows up shows a lot of conflict and bad user experience. But otherwise this method is pretty easy to set up, and all you need is to have a subdomain and a different version of your website and a JavaScript that can actually sniff out user agents or mobile traffic and redirect them to the version B of the website. And there is a second way of going about it, which is to have a responsive design. So when you have a responsive design, what you essentially do is to have the same content show up at the same URL but differently on different devices, which is to say that basically what you do is you incorporate certain media queries into your CSS styles, and using those media queries and styles, you sniff out what dimensions, which is just the height and the width of the device which is accessing your web page, and renders the content essentially to match up to that dimensions of the device. So if it is an iPhone, the width is 320 pixels in a portrait mode, and your website basically renders within the 320 pixels width on an iPhone, and differently so on different platforms like tablets and other smartphones. The good thing with this method is that it's easy from a scale perspective. It's difficult to set it up because you need to have expertise of CSS, or you might have to hire another person to get this done for you. So that way setting it up is kind of difficult, and you have to do a lot of testing to make sure that the website shows up pretty much seamlessly the same on different platforms. But once it's done, it's pretty much taken care of. It's sort of like a fill it, shut it, forget it kind of a method where you needn't worry about your design anytime later as you keep on adding content to your website. So whatever content is being added to your website and whatever changes are being made to the website automatically reflects in your content that's being shown on different devices and platforms. So this is the Google and the other search engines recommended way of doing it for optimizing for mobile. But the last word here, and the most important thing that I want to emphasize in this video, is that when you have a mobile optimized website, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are getting any brownie points or any extra points to actually show up more times on search engine result pages. Because when the idea of responsive design came into being like 3-4 years back, there was a lot of rumors around the SEO community where people were talking about preferences being given to some websites which were optimized for mobile, especially from a mobile traffic perspective. And recently we've got many comments, and we've heard from many videos and discussions in the SEO forums, also from people like Matt Cutts and other stakeholders at search engines, that even if you have a mobile optimized website, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can have edge over others in terms of ranks or in terms of more chances of showing up on the search engine result pages. So all it actually boils down to is to have a consistent user experience for your users, and things like brand recognition and making sure that they are not they get the same kind of user experience, be it on whatever platforms they are accessing your website from. Other than that, from a search engine perspective, it doesn't give you any pluses. So that's about it basically. So make sure that you have a website which is optimized for mobile, either by having a responsive design, or if you have few pages which are manageable manually, like a non-CMS kind of setup, then you might want to go for a subdomain and a mobile sniffing JavaScript in place. But otherwise, I would totally recommend going for a responsive design. So that's about it in this video, but stay tuned and let me know your comments and suggestions so that I can improve on the videos coming up. So thanks, and talk soon. Bye.